Hi everyone, so welcome to Investing for Value, where we aim to talk about every stock in the stock market. As long as you have an interest in it, you let me know. I'll look into that stock and I will talk about what I know and my opinion about it. So firstly, I'd like to say everything I say is for your entertainment purposes, and if you need proper advice, go seek a financial advisor. That's usually the go-to if you're not in the know-how of in terms of investing. For me, I enjoy investing. I make my own decisions, so I like to pick my own stocks. I do the research, and I make sure I'm an informed investor. And the risks that I take knowingly. So that's the thing. Like, you should never invest in the stock market without going in there knowing the type of risk that you take. And as I say, never invest that more than you're comfortable with, because if you lose sleep over it, or if you lose your life savings, nothing's going to help you come back. So, and this is why we start, looking and researching, because we want to know what we invest in is going to be good for the future. So for the first company I want to talk about, like, this is just like, I'm really passionate about this company, and I like what it does in the future, so I want to talk about it. And in the future, like, if you want to talk about other companies, just let me know, and I'll do some research about it, and I'll talk about those companies, and then from there, we go on a journey of investing, and then see where it leads us. All right, so let's get started with Tesla. Like, this is probably a company that's gotten so much news headlines, um, because firstly, it's got one of the most, I guess, inspirational people of our generation, Elon Musk, and it's doing something that no one has really ever done in the last few decades. It's disrupting the car industry. Like, that's an impossible industry. Like, don't even get me started. Like, opening a car company and trying to establish yourself, that's hard enough. But also going to electric cars and deciding, hey, we're going to start something new, and we're going to get everyone else to compete with us. Like, that is difficult. Like, who has the guts? So just the moves that Elon Musk has made and the changes that he's brought to the whole industry. Like, we would not be this far forward in electric cars without his motivation and his push. No other ice like manufacturer is going to go, oh, we need to change what we do, because really no one really wants to change what they do, especially if it's hugely profitable. But now Elon Musk is going, we're going to make electric cars. They're going to be much more better for the environment in the long run. The cost is going to be better. And if anyone doesn't join us, you risk being like a dinosaur and going extinct. So that's the thing. Like, he's done so much to disrupt an industry that you would think, well, why wouldn't you want to invest in a company like Tesla? Well, so that's the type of thinking that we probably go into. Like, that's the type of thinking I'm going into. Like, I'm investing in a company that's going to do really good for the future for humanity. The problem with investing, especially stocks, is what runs a stock is financials. You don't invest in a stock knowing that, hey, it's a good cause, but I might lose my money. So you usually do an investment because you go, oh, it's for a good cause, and chances are it can also make me money. So usually both things are, if you can do hand in hand, great. Like, a lot of people might not want to invest in a gun company, not a gambling company. So it makes sense that you might want to invest in a company that's going to do a lot of good in the future. So the reason, like, I've taken an interest especially is, like, if you look at the pricing that you can buy Tesla shares at right now, they're really good prices. You haven't seen these prices for quite a few years now. Like, when Tesla came below $180, that's as low as I've probably seen it for years. So when you think, when you go to the old statements that people usually tell you, like, how do you invest in the stock market? The most simplest strategy ever: buy low, sell high. So when you have a stock price like Tesla that's right now selling at a quite low price, That's the thing. Is this buying low and then later selling high? Or do we have the risk that it's come low and it'll be low in the future and then it's gone? You know, like, I wouldn't be talking about it today if I didn't believe that it's come down low and then it will go higher. And I'm going to talk about why I believe it will go higher. Like, I mean, there's a lot of bears going after this stock. This is like the first stock I've ever seen that's been shorted at 35%. Like, it's insane. Like, who really has seen a stock that's been shorted this much? Like, I've seen 5, 10, 15%, even 20, but 35%, that's just insane. Like, everyone really has to believe this company's not going to do well to put that much money there, or it's a whole conspiracy of big oil. But you know, that could go on. That kind of discussion could go on forever. So I'm not going to try to like really go into those airy fairy kind of situations. For now, I'm just going to say the stock's low because there's a lot of misconceptions. Firstly, there's headlines that no one wants to buy Teslas, or that there's demand for Teslas only because there's subsidies, right? Because currently, before the end of this month, if you buy an electric vehicle, you get about over $3,000 towards your purchase. And this is for the US. Never mind other countries. Like, I think China is also cutting their subsidy as well. So when you're looking at that, if subsidy starts, if they start getting cut, you know, like, the vehicle's going to cost more for the average consumer. And if we look at supply and demand, when the price goes up, demand seems to lower. So in a general sense, if car gets more expensive, it's going to, like, demand's just going to decrease. But the subsidy is not entirely gone. Like, you still get about, I think, $1,800 or something like that. So it's not completely gone, but it's just gone basically in half what it is currently. And a lot of analysts have basically taken that view, like, hey, there's a lot of people buying Teslas right now for this quarter, but after that, next quarter it's going to drop off. So, like, you've got these people coming up with like these bearish like type evaluations. They're like, oh, Tesla's going down to $10. What do we do next? And that's the thing. It's probably, you know, like, it's going to make a lot of people panic. Even if you believed in the stock, belief isn't going to help you in retirement. Belief isn't going to get you through everything. Like, usual cases, like, if you have money, you want to take care of yourself, and as much as you go, I believe in Tesla, there's all these financial analysts who do this for a living, and they're willing to put their reputation on the line. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it causes a lot of doubt, even if you have a lot of belief. And no one, you know, like, I've had a lot of belief in stocks that have gone down, like, a lot, and I've lost a lot of money through that. So I wouldn't go, you know, it causes panic, because the thing with stocks is it's not about the ideas, it's not about producing a good product. It's a main, like, I mean, it's good if you can produce a good product, but you have to make sure you sell it. And that's the thing, like, Tesla cars are so expensive that it can cause a lot of doubt whether people want to buy the car. Like, and a lot of people are, like, they came out statistics, 65% are usually non-premium buyers, because everyone does the value, like, the calculation, and goes, if I buy a car today, I don't, if the expenses to maintain this car is a lot cheaper, so I make the savings in the long run. So it's going to cost me extra to buy this luxury car, but in the long run, those savings make it to an equivalent of buying just a standard car that might cost more in maintenance and, like, the petrol needs. Mind you, like, once the battery for a Tesla starts to wear and tear and you have to replace it, that's a huge expense. Like, that's round about 30% of the value of the car. So you gotta you gotta calculate right and go, is this worth it? And that's the thing. These analysts are basically causing a lot of doubt through this. So that's why the prices drop from the high of $380 to less than $200, and recently it's come back up to about 219. So a lot of investors are quite uncertain about this area. So like this is why it's also made it really interesting to like dive into this and go like what's is this company worth investing in? Like when the stock price is going well and the headlines are going well, we have a lot of confidence. But when the headlines are against the stock, the price is dropping, it starts to cause a lot of doubt. But I think if you do your research, you can find numbers, and they tend to be, alright. Apart from the debt situation, like any company with about 10 billion in debt isn't, it's gonna make you a bit nervous about how they're gonna pay that back. But I think for Elon Musk, he's always been someone who comes through and through, and I believe that he's got that determination in him to make sure Tesla will succeed. Like there's been many times in the past where the company would have failed, if not for masterstrokes of Elon Musk. Like in 2008, they needed money. He came through with the money, and then he's just come from strength to strength. And this is a company that's gone from one product to so many right now. Like when they did the Roadster, then the Model S, then the Model X, and then now the Model 3, and then now then next the Model Y, they've got the truck, and then the pickup truck. This company is going from strength to strength, and you gotta believe in what they're doing. That it's gonna make a difference. I want to say, like, firstly, Tesla is as a growth company, and all growth companies have a lot of risk. Like they've, but at the same time, it can be really rewarding if it pays off, because this is a company that's gone from like 7 billion to 11 billion from 2017 to 2018, and then from the 2018 year to the 2019 financial year, it's gone to 21 billion. And in this year, it's likely going to perform even better because they forecast even higher delivery of cars. So when you see that, like usually, like when companies grow their revenues like clockwork, like usually that's a lot of value being built in. So you think about Tesla, they're building a lot of value. If they're building a lot of value, generally it should be reflected in the share price. But everyone's looking at Tesla and going, is this a stock that's in a sense being overpriced? Because like compared to other car companies that are worth 30 to 40 billion, Tesla's kind of on the same par, but they're producing significantly less cars. Everyone's producing several million cars a year, whereas Tesla's producing a couple of 100,000 of cars right now. But yeah, so that's kind of where the sentiment goes. Like, we're comparing car companies, and how can a car company that's producing a lot less vehicles than anyone else, it's like a tenth of what everyone else, well, less than a tenth really. So how can this car company be worth so much more? For a brief period, Tesla was the most valuable car company in the world. So that's the thing. If you look at it as a car company, it's not going to be worth it. But Tesla's not just a car company; it's a company that produces a lot of software. So as it's put, like Tesla's not a car company; it's a software company. So when you start to go, oh, it's a software company now. So if it's a software company, oh, that's actually it's not that expensive, because like we've seen how good margins are for software. And there's no better example for a company that a lot of people will perceive as a hardware company, but in reality is a software company, is Apple. Like, you think, oh, Apple sells a lot of iPhones, right? But the thing is, even though iPhones are hardware, most of their margins are actually made through the software. Like, there's a good reason you buy Apple products and the specs aren't as high as other like competitor products. Like, you can buy an iPhone or you can buy something else for a fraction of the price, and the specs will actually be higher than the iPhone. Like I personally, I use an iPhone, and I can see like everyone else has higher specs. So I'm thinking, is this worth it? But like when you use the operating system, that's such a nice, smooth operating system, that most people would, they like the use of it. They like the ecosystem. They love how Apple, has this good protection over your privacy. The apps you download, you're less likely to get into get problems of the app. Like people aren't going to put like spyware in there or some other bugs. They tend to be really well made apps and products. Whereas you go to you use Android. Android's great itself, but some apps that you do install, like they haven't been well vetted, and they could be well taking your information. That there's a bit of risk with that. So the one thing I think Apple's done really well is being able to give you a really good quality system that you can just like trust that's going to be reliable, and it's going to I guess it's not going to breach your privacy. And going forward, privacy is such a big issue, that Apple, I think, as long as they keep doing what they're doing right now, Apple's going to be worth a lot more. But never mind, this isn't an Apple like talk. This is a Tesla talk, but I just want to go. Tesla is very similar to Apple. It produces hardware, and that basically it drives emotion. Like, it's not very often that you see products that drive emotion. Like, if I say Apple, like people kind of get this positive feel of like this is an awesome product, and the same thing like this is like of course Apple's kind of like dwindled in terms of that kind of positive luxury feel. It's still very up there as a brand, but like take this 5 years back, and like you had people selling their kidney for an iPhone. These days you go, oh, will you sell your kidney for an iPhone? It's like, hell no. So like that's the thing. It's like these days, Tesla's getting to that stage where if I go, hey, would you sell your kidney for a Tesla? Like you might get some people who might do that. Like that's the thing. Mind you, a Tesla's a lot more expensive, so that's a bit of a different story. Like yeah, like the kid that probably sold his kidney for an iPhone, he's like, damn it, I would sell it for a Tesla actually. So much more expensive, so much more, nice of a car. It's like, why wouldn't you do it? If I pose a question to you, would you sell your kidney for an iPhone or a Tesla? And then when you think about that, you'll be like, if I had to, it'd probably be a Tesla. Not that I would want to. Nothing's more important than than your body. So that's the thing. I really want to go on that. Like Tesla's basically becoming that new Apple. It's the company that is so far ahead in technology, that there's so much innovation that it's building this whole idea of you're getting the latest product, and it's also one of the most, and it's in a luxury class, and it's the same thing. Like Apple made these luxury products that were innovative, and Apple has kind of lost that innovative edge a little over time. But you've got Tesla, who's up and coming. Like this is the same feeling that Apple was probably probably about 10 years ago actually. So if you remember those feelings that Apple used to give people when they had products coming out, basically Tesla's taking over now. Tesla's going, we've got this new car coming out, and it literally drives people to line up to see these products, to test them out, and even buying them. Like when Model 3 came out, and there was like these lines everywhere waiting to put orders in of a car no one had even tested. So like that, like to put that much faith in a product like that, yeah, there's something to sell you. Like people are gonna buy their products just like Apple, and over time, there's people are just gonna be like, oh, you're a Tesla fanboy, and that's the thing. They're really driving that customer value part, and if to say there's no demand, it's it's ridiculous in a way. Like these guys can't make more than enough to get out of the shop. Once they start stockpiling, then you can say there's no demand. But even then, like I don't think that's gonna be the case. These are nice products. People want to buy them, and that goes to the whole part. These guys are firstly this quarter they're likely to get record deliveries. Like the leaked email. Like who leaks these emails? Like there must be this one guy every time he gets an email he flicks it away. And Elon probably knows this. He knows that that email is going to go out, and he's saying they're on the cusp of meeting new deliveries, record deliveries. Um, so when you get record deliveries, like there's it's an obvious thing. There is good demand, so it's a matter of getting the price down. Because if analysts are going, you're getting record deliveries now, but basically it's going to drop because you don't get the same subsidy for the cars. Well, I mean the subsidy is only it's less than 2,000 difference compared to what the new subsidy will be. So basically, 2,000. If Tesla's willing to drop their pricing by 2,000, which they have dropped the pricing for the Model S and Model X by 1,000. Um, you know, that's if they had a demand problem, which they don't have a demand problem. So that's to say, like, even if they had an issue, lower price a little bit, it's fine. These guys will keep selling. Um, and I want to allude to, like, everyone kind of highlights that Tesla's a company that's lost billions in the past, and it has lost a lot. It lost close to $1 billion last year as well. But a lot of people didn't look at the 2 quarters. Like in quarter 3 and quarter 4 last year, they made in one quarter they made about 300 million, another quarter made about 100 million. So this is a car company that's on the basically being profitable, and for me, I've done the numbers, and every time Tesla makes 5.5 billion in revenue, that's when they break even. So, and in anything after that, they keep profiting. So last year's revenue was 21 billion, and if we do the math, and we go, oh, actually, the minute these guys make about 22 billion, that's more or less the break even, maybe 23 billion or something like that. But that's literally a break even. The minute they earn 6 to 7 billion in revenue, usually they're profiting by a couple of 100 million. So that's usually quite a good area to be in. Like, we won't see the same profitability as last quarter because Tesla's basically spending quite a lot of money in terms of expenses on their new gigafactory in Shanghai. And the progress of that building is unbelievable. Like, they literally started breaking ground in March, and in 3.5 months we have a factory, that outer shell of this factory in, and people coming in to install the equipment. So give it another 3 months, and probably have cars coming out. Which is kind of the insane part. So like they'll have a lot of demand as well in China. This is a car market that's 50% larger than the US. So we're talking about the largest car market that is also the biggest EV market in the world as well. So and coming from a Chinese background, people love these luxury products. People will pay for it, especially cars. Like for Tesla, like 55,000. Well, it was like 55,000 US dollars prior, and then it's dropping to, I think it was about 47,000 US dollars. So all of a sudden that's a good savings. Never mind that there was a lot of demand in the present, like before that, and now that you're dropping the pricing, like once that comes in, the demand's going to go up again for that in China, and I think Tesla's got a really good future there. And not to mention, wages are going to be cheaper, logistics for materials, because like they basically get a lot of materials. Like one highlight was like Tesla gets the aluminium from Japan, and recently they got an exemption from tariffs. And you think about it, Japan's a lot closer to China than it is to the US, so there's a bit of savings in logistics. Labor's a lot cheaper, and you can get more labor. Like like in the US, you have everyone just working from 9 to 5 or something like that. But in China, you can have so many shifts, and usually people might work longer hours too. So in a country where like the work more and work for more for less, like those are going to be fantastic margins for Tesla going forward. So I think the coming up quarter, Tesla's going to make a bit of quite a good profit. And if they can continue this demand, this year I believe they'll be in profit. This will be a profitable company. So if people say there's a there's a problem with finding the company because it's making massive losses, well, I think this year it's going to make a profit. And like no one else has really looked at those numbers, and those numbers show Tesla basically the minute they start delivering around 75 to 80,000 cars. Usually they're in that profitable area, and in the future they're going to deliver more than that. So I believe this company is really going to be profitable this year. And usually for stocks, the minute a company hits that break-even point and people go, oh, it's going to survive, the stock tends to skyrocket. So that's the reason I also believe it, as that stock's selling cheap right now because there's a lot of headlines basically going against Tesla, and basically they're building up so much value. The minute they go, we're going to make, we're going to be a profitable company going forward, everyone's going to be ecstatic, and stock has more belief. It starts to skyrocket. I do want to go back to that point about Tesla being a software company. Like, why do we think Tesla is a software company? Because like usual cases, Tesla, a car company, has small margins because there's so much competition. So there's not much money to be made unless you produce like massive amount of cars. Like literally every car company, they might produce 100 billion in revenues, but only have 2 or 3 billion profit, which is like not much, especially for what you're producing. So they're going, Tesla's nowhere near that. So how are they ever going to be profitable? Thing is, like when you buy a Tesla, they already include autopilot, and autopilot used to be software you had to buy for $3,000, and these days it's included. So that, and then they actually include as a $2,500 price tag, and then after that they give you the option to buy full self-driving features, which is a few times more expensive. So if you include those parts about it, just that software itself, those are pure margins after a while. Like anyone that knows software is like, you have a fixed cost that you need to pay your programmers and all that. But after that, to replicate that software in more cars, there's barely any cost. So you think about that. Like the minute you sell to a certain point of Teslas, everything, a huge part of it's going to be profit. And especially if they're able to make their cars in China where the cost is significantly lower. I can't see these guys not making huge profits on a million cars alone. Like on a million cars, I think these guys will be more profitable than existing car companies. So that's from my calculations. But I do say you guys should do your own calculations and check it out yourself. Yeah, and then also like Tesla's so far ahead in terms of the rest of the field. Like no one has a car that can even drive itself on that's commercial right now. You do have cars that can drive themselves, like autopilot currently, that will come out next year, but that's next year, and So like firstly, they don't have the same software capabilities as Tesla. No other company has the data on all the driving miles like Tesla has currently. So Tesla's way ahead on that. Um, they've also got a great brand that everyone has a big following. All the tech companies would love to acquire Tesla if the opportunity ever came up. So by means, Tesla's not dead in the water if it ever got to that. But I believe they've really got a good future ahead of them. So yeah, I would probably end it there. Like I've probably gone on for quite a while. Go 1.5 times or 2 times the speed, so it doesn't take you half an hour to watch this. But if you did watch it like at normal speed, I do thank you for your time, and well, I thank you for your time in general. So this is being one of my first recorded um, like videos on stocks, and I hope to continue to do more in the future. Do mention some stocks to me. Like I love looking to new stocks, and the thing about all investors is like there's so many thousands of stocks in the market. Where do we start? Where do we how do we know we're investing in a good company? It's really great to like balance your views with someone else's views. So like these are my views, and I'd love to hear about your views. So feel free to comment below, and if you think I did a good job, like it. If not, first effort. Come on, give me a break, eh? All right. Well, until next time. Good luck investing. See you later.